Do you believe in miracles? We got Fizzle in the house. Fizzle, what's good, man? Fizzle, glad to have you here.
Let's go. This the South Harmon Podcast. Glad you here today. Hit that Patreon link if you here to stay. Dynasty best ball, that's my favorite way. 40 chess trade show. Let's make a trade today or check a AMA. You know Adam at the ATM. Mike always in the building. He gon' stay with him. They gon' start every show off with their own trade. Fantasy's a big ocean. They made their own wave. Make sure you tapping in Tuesdays and Saturdays. Tuesday night, Saturday morning, ain't no better way. Hit that notification bell when the news break. Go subscribe right now, don't get the news late. Destination Devi, that's the team. Dynasty Football, man, that's my favorite thing. I remember Biggie said it was all a dream. Now people watching on their phones and computer screens. Welcome to the team. Let's start the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Dynasty Trade Show. So glad you could join us. Thank you so much. And if you're watching this, it's going to be on Saturday. You already know, Mind Warp is live. Mind Warp is live. Go check it out. Adam Scott Connor did incredible work. I did absolutely nothing. I'm just the hype man. I'm Flavor Flav with this bitch. That's all I got. That's me. That's all I do. Flavor Flav.
Flavor Flav. Oh, how could I remember?
I need a clock. If I'm going to be the hype man, I need a clock. But
let's get you a clock.
Go check it out. Yeah, go check it out. Go check out the Warp Tool, southharmonff.com. Score yourself some cool merch too if you so choose. We got all kinds of stuff, right? Beer glasses, bourbon glasses, golf balls, t-shirts, flippy flops. You want some flippy flops, Adam? Got some flippy flops.
Mike, and this is just what we have in the arrangement, the rotation in the preseason. I mean, the season hasn't even come around. Just imagine.
No. I got too much time on my hands. I think that's what it is. You're out here doing work, and I'm just designing flip-flops. So that's what I do.
Listen, when those flip-flops become a hot commodity, they're going to be the same thing, when they just are viral.
And remember, if you want your deals featured, patreon.com/South Harmon. Go check us out. Get you in the Discord. $1 a month, get you in the door. We got all kinds of tiers, though. So if you got some good other stuff that you want to check out, maybe you want to check out Spike Week, Consistency Week, you want some rankings, you want a startup heat map, you want a trade calculator, we got all kinds of stuff. Go check it out. Adam, buddy, I had a busy week of making deals in one particular league, and I have a feeling. I saw it,
man. I'm in that league, and I saw them all, and I have a feeling.
I mean, when Fizzle says we start out the show with our own deals,
yeah,
he means them all. And if it's that first one that I made, just know vodka was involved.
Well, right what I'm going to say is Blitz is just recently been the one pulling the trades to try to take some workload. And I'll tell you this much, Mike. We were talking about kind of kidding, maybe looking for work. Blitz, this is big for you. Whatever's behind the curtain here for trade number one, if it's not the right deal, I think we may need to be looking for someone else. So I have a feeling it's going to be the one you want, though. So let's take a peek. Mike, what did you do this week?
Ooh, baby. Yeah, you did pull this one. This is the vodka deal.
12 team, 2 quarterback, best ball. Yes, you're reading that right. Start 16, full degenerates, 2 tight end league, PPR, 1.5 tight end premium, 0.3 points per carry. Before you read the name, you can kind of guess who probably made the league. The South Harmon Dynasty Degenerates. This was my doing, the craziness of this league. Mike, let's talk about the league, and then let's talk about this trade. You are acquiring, the guy that he can't get off of. He's right there behind him. Noah Fant, Michael Mayer, a 24 first, a 25 first, a 26 first, as well as those accompanying seconds. So you take Melo's whole soul and future. Everything that he had in Sleeper besides thirds. Setting away, though. Everybody watching, I know it's a little smaller because they wanted to get the whole settings and they wanted to see my comment of trade show type-ish. But Jamar Chase, George Kittle, Terry McLaurin, David Njoku, Mike. Spicy. As soon as I saw it, that's the first thing I put in there. Trade show type-ish. This is one we got to walk through all the components of this one. So I'll let you run with it, man. Other than the vodka, what was behind the brain that made this trade?
If I really, I mean, we kind of talk about it, right? If we talked about it after I made the deal with Mello, and he was like, "Oh, this seems." Mello did his typical thing. We're talking in voice chat in the Discord one night, and I'm drinking, and we're BS. And I said, I'll make you a deal.
Isn't that how all Mello trades are done, right?
I said, I haven't really figured out what I'm doing in this league. And he's like, I want to compete. And I said, I got you. You got Joe Burrow. I got
you
Jamar
always
Chase.
want to fucking compete. Let's do it.
Let's put them together. You know what I mean? I get you, Jamar Chase. Yeah. So I sent him a deal, and I'm like, what do you think about that? I'm trying to be fair. And he was like, oh, I don't know. I don't really like it. The typical bullshit Mello gets on. Yeah, always. And then he reads it off. And once he reads it off, you could just see the light bulb click in his head.
Ding, ding, ding.
That Mike screwed up here.
Ding, ding, ding.
You know what I mean? So let's just break it down. And I'll tell you why I feel like I screwed up. And I knew it after the fact. But, a little bit of an overlook. And I'll let the people know.
So, so you're telling me you had that Dynasty trade regret?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right after.
Okay.
So Jamar Chase, there's a 24, a 25, and a 26 first. If I got those 3 firsts for Jamar Chase in a best ball league, I'll hit it. I'll just do it. Right? I think that's fair. People could argue maybe he's worth more. I really don't care, Adam. One of the things about this league, and if any of these other deals that I've made in succession after this are on here, it's a start 16. What's the game plan for this? It's best ball, which I already need. You need a shit ton of depth to compete. And how much depth do you need in a start 16 best ball, Adam? You're going to need
all of it. All of it. Whatever is possible to exist, you need it all.
I mean, it's not to the point where warp goes out the window, right? You still you still got to follow warp and get the positions of value that'll make a difference. But you need depth all over the place, right? We got so many starters at running back, so many starters at, wide receiver. We got to start 4 of them. And then all these damn flex. It's ridiculous. It's a ludicrous league. So there's no real game plan for it. So when I say Jamar Chase or 3 first, I'm taking the 3 first because I got to figure out how I'm going to start 16 guys on this team at some point, right? Jamar Chase is awesome. I'm not arguing that fact. And if this was in a vacuum, you could make the argument that, you took a 25 and you took a 26 first. That's not enough for Jamar Chase. I get it. Don't shoot. I understand. Okay. I'm not arguing that fact. But for this league type, I felt that was enough. I think that's good. Done deal. Easy. I'll send it away.
And that was just the 3 first for Chase, you're saying right there.
Just the 3 first, right?
Understood.
So
I'm actually on board with you there. Okay.
All right. Michael Mayer and Noah Fant in a 2 tight end league. I really like Noah Fant. You guys know this. He's on the damn behind me all the time. Every show we do, he's right here staring at me. Okay?
If we ever made graphics last year, if we ever made any type of banners, he was on it, all right?
Yes. I love Noah Fant. So if you told me Michael Mayer and Noah Fant for, let's just say George Kittle, and I don't even know if that's enough, to be honest, in a 2 tight end league. I don't. But let's just say because it's a best ball and that whole deep starting roster theory, fine. Okay? Adam, what's David Njoku then worth? Easily 2 of these seconds, right? Easily in this format.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin then for a single second, and albeit it's probably going to be the one that's 26 if you want to, a 26 second for Scary Terry. When Mello started reading it back to me, I went, whoops. I feel like I added 1 extra player that I didn't need to, one I didn't need to.
I can tell you where, for me, when I know the context, which I knew shortly after the trade was made, but I think you're probably being a little too hard on yourself. I agree, though. I want Melo's side here. Don't attack. Don't get crazy. I think you're being a little too hard on yourself, and let me just explain why. So Chase for 3 first for me in this league. So when I look at the warp tool, right? I pull up warp on this league.
Yeah.
You'll see that the running back line's insanely high, right? The running back line is nuts. And
that
0.3 points per carry combined, Mike, with start 16. Just think about it from that lens again, because when you're starting 16 and there's 0.3 points per carry, what's that going to do to your flex options? It's going to totally make the running back position crazily high. And look at it. Right. You're looking at basically, Mike, honest to God, the running back 12 in this league, Miles Sanders, isn't all that different than Joe Burrow.
Oof. Wow.
Now, one of the things I'm going to give a big shout out to Dynasty Mind Warp. If you like looking at this stuff and thinking about a trade of this magnitude, if you play in extreme leagues, We covered the last 2 episodes before the finale. We cover extreme leads. So it was a league like this, similar, but only start 13. This is to the different level of extreme. Now, the reason I wanted to bring all that warp up, Mike, though, is this. The running back is very high, which none of those are in here, but the market's so different, right? Even if the warp on Miles Sanders is equivalent to Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, we know that that's not what the market says. That's just about what's going to happen in warp. However, when you look at the receiver line, right, like, it's really legit. Don't get me wrong. Jamar Chase, I think, has the ability and capability to go to that 2-0 in warp. But if you just think about it from a lens of start 16, I want you to think about this and where I think the bet you're making is not going to be that bad in a process play. This individual trade, I think, was a loss for you. Okay, but I think in a bigger picture, this is where I think you'll end up winning. So just stick with me. Let's say Jamar Chase even hits his high-end upside of like 1.5 to 2 in this league, right?
Okay. Yep.
I just told you that Miles Sanders can replace that warp.
Yeah. I get you.
So just even still, the market doesn't change. But just think about that for a second now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Jamar Chase is still really dope. Even then, like, I can understand making the case of those picks are so devalued because we got 25 and 26. I'm still going Jamar Chase. Cool. No quarrels even there. Mike, but then think about it this way. Start 16, right? You got Kittle and Njoku. Like, I think this is where the drinking came in for you. I think your plan was just down tier off of both of these older tight ends. Njoku's not older, but his value's a little more lowered and ceiling, right? Get off of those guys, get devalued one in Fant, and get Mayer back, who's young and exciting. So, and you're staying in the top 18, like Warp shows you here, with guys like this. Top 24 for sure, and those ones are all relatively the same in Warp. So I love what you did there, but I think probably the Chase and McLaurin going away for just, and then everything else in there is just picks that are all his, I think is where it was probably a loss. I'll say this, though. Start 16. Again, think about what Miles Sanders was in this league. Think about what running backs are going to be in this league. Mike, you have the entire control of Melo's team. Now, I haven't looked at it. We can pull it up on the simulator. I don't know if you want to do that real quick. But
that's what
the next point. I was going to. This is huge.
The only thing that made me feel good is Melo's like, oh, I bet my team's probably favored. I go, yeah, you got me pretty good. Let me run it on the simulator. We went back and forth for a while. He goes, I don't think it's updating. Well, it updated, Adam, and it puts him square at like 5th.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
that's exactly the point, right? So Melo has completely liquidated his leverage, or his flexibility, not leverage, sorry. His liquidity's all gone, right? He has Jamar Chase. Now, that's a safe asset that you could even still tier off of pretty easily, right? So it's not like he's broke there. Yeah. But you're still betting against him in a way. And then you and I Melo, you know we love you to death, but I'm typically in favor of trying to bet against you. You know, I know you've won some leagues with I have your picks, but I like when I have Melo's picks and I have a chance to get, you know, the angry, not happy Melo because it goes wrong. But look at the asset number, Mike, when you think about start 16, to go back all the way to bring this full circle. Asset number. Mike, you said what? How much depth do you need in a start 16? And I said all of it. All of it. Right now, this is a 4 for how many?
Ooh, that's a good call, right? A
4 for 8. And
4 for 8.
And guess
up, baby.
And when you talk about the running back line, when I just told you that, you know, you're looking at what do we got? Jamal Williams types. Well over 1.5, Lenny Fournette, Ramondre Stevenson. I just told you Miles Sanders was in there. Damian Pierce, David Montgomery. Mike, every name I'm listening here.
A lot of guys even at their peak last year, right? You could buy for seconds just about everywhere.
But just think about this. I'm going to keep reading. I want people to understand this in totality. I know it's probably talking longer than you want, but I don't care. We're doing it, damn it. Mike, A.J. Dillon, Brian Robinson, Devin Singletary, DeAndre Swift, Raheem Mostert, Deontay Foreman, that everyone I mentioned there, Mike, is over 1 in warp. So you know what all those seconds are doing? Getting you to that table where it's going to be hard to buy running backs in this league because this league knows about warp. And they're going to want the running back market of acquisition is going to be tough. But when you have liquid picks to do that in seconds, and then you have the first to bet against Melo, I still think that you probably could have made the deal happen without sending so much away.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think that, like, in a process play, I know how you're going to take this and move forward. And I think in a league like this where you have to start so many freaking players, 8 for 4s where the worst you're getting back is seconds, I'm not going to call it a gaping. I'm just not going to let you sit here and put pie all over your face. All right, I won't do it. Believe me, I'm normally the one that wants to put pie on McNutt's face, but this one I'm not going to let you say is awful. You could have gotten more sending away Chase, I think, but in a process play, I think you're okay.
Some interesting nuggets too for the league, right? I did some other deals, right? But you asked me to look at the simulator. I have the lowest win total I think I've ever seen on the league simulator, period.
All right, Mike. So this one here, you were giving Blitz a hard time last week, and I think he's earning himself. He's earning his stripes a little bit here, right? So
totally redeemed yourself.
Totally redeemed yourself. Let's go. Damn it, Blitz. Don't you mess this up in the back half. Don't you do it. 24 first, Mike is acquiring. 24 second, 25 first, 25 second, 26 first, 26 second, right? So it's the same deal in principle. He's not getting back those 2 tight ends, but he's acquiring the entire future of Mr. Shy Guy. Mike, you're sending away Deshaun Watson, Jeff Wilson, Antonio Gibson, Tank Bigsby. First and foremost, I look at this. Watson in a best ball league, 6-point passing touchdown like this. Already, to me, he's a 3 first guy. It's so hard to buy Superflex quarterbacks that are as good as Watson. 3 first. And even in this league, I think I'm good with it at 3 first, right? But I think the problem is, Mike, when you look at WARP over here, I think the line can get better, right? Like if you look at last year's WARP, basically once you got to quarterback 6, Geno Smith, it's not that it's not nice WARP 1.22, but it's well behind all the running backs pretty much that matter. And then the difference from him to even like Marcus Mariota is minimal. So, we in order for this to work, I think for him, Watson's going to have to play like we expect him to and what he was before in Houston. I think you're going to have to see the line move up for quarterback as a whole because, this was a bad year for quarterback in 22 overall. But when I just think about starting 16, though, Mike, it's tough to send 3 first for Watson in this specific league because I need so much depth. Where, like, can I go find a Jared Goff? Can I go find a Daniel Jones? Can I go find someone more in that range that's going to be a first and a second, something like that? And even that's going to feel worse, but I'm still keeping a lot of my flexibility and liquidity. Here, you are dumping your entire team for Deshaun Watson in a start 16. Now, there's 3 running backs, which, quick point, obviously I just talked about how much they can all mean in WARP, right? But let's just talk about their market and how, none of them have this great rosy market. Even when you get to this type of a league, the market's going to be better on them. But I doubt you're going to see a bunch of people, if any, in this league sending single first for any of those running backs even still. So, point is, what I'm getting back on the indie side for me here doesn't feel that good, knowing that I'm losing every pick that I have of consequence that Sleeper would allot to me. So I like it. I like this on your side a little better. I'm not going to say it's a terrible deal for Indy. I mean, he got a really good quarterback, and he didn't give up a single player in theory, but I wouldn't want to give up another 6 for 4 in a start 16 league like this.
So buying these kind of running backs it's a catch-22 for this league. In this league, they're worth it, right? To spend these seconds, even though market doesn't say so, which is this juggling act that you got to do in this type of format, Adam. You really have to balance it out. Example, you're talking about Deshaun Watson in 3 first, and this is also kind of just shitting on the quarterbacks, and also highlighting how good these trash can running backs that nobody values actually are, right? Nobody cares about Jeff Wilson. Antonio Gibson, I'm out here defending him all the time. And Tank Bigsby, while he's starting to gain a little bit of steam, people still think Travis Etienne is that dude. You know what I mean? And Tank is just going to be a backup. Let me just highlight a few things here. And this illustrates the point. If you're Mr. Shy Guy, when I look at the deal now, and I had no idea at the time, I'm just in full, we're liquidating. I can't believe he wants these turds. Good. You can have them. Deshaun Watson for 3 firsts. Boom. That's my asking price. That's what it's going to take. Done deal. These running backs for all these seconds, I'll send every single one of them away if I'm liquidating 4 seconds. No question about it. Here's the thing, though. When you look at it, Adam, you touched on the quarterback graph from last year, and what I always like to do is I like to look at the year before, because last year was a bad year for quarterbacks. We had so many injuries all over the map. Quarterback warp on almost every single graph that you're going to look at. It's the top 4, and then there's a fall off, and then everybody else just kind of goes in a nice curve. I like to look at 2021. The quarterback graph was much more rosy in warp for that time. In this league, Adam, in this league, this is what's brilliant about the warp tool. The quarterbacks really still don't matter, man. Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, number one quarterback in warp in 2021, 1.99. The number one tight end, Mark Andrews, 2.17. Cooper Kupp, 2.39 wide receiver. And you remember how great Cooper Kupp was, Triple Crown, the catches, yards, touchdowns, the whole thing. That was Cooper Kupp in 2021. The number one player in warp, Jonathan Taylor, 2.87, lapping the entire field. We talk about this in the lens of Deshaun Watson. Adam, QB 9, 10, and 11. Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. Now think 2 years ago. Kyler was having a decent year. Dak was having a decent year. Lamar Jackson definitely had a decent year. All of them, 1.34 warp to 1.33 warp. Now, if we match that up with the running backs, Adam, this is the range of trash can running backs in that 1.33. These are guys who scored better in warp. You remember Melvin Gordon for 2 years ago? Like, how excited were you for him? All right, another guy.
Super excited.
Elijah Mitchell. I was excited for Elijah Mitchell. Why? Because I got him for fucking free.
We were excited. Actually, we were excited the year prior, right? And then last year we're like, and he still – it felt like he was going too high on his cost, right? And he still did that.
Damian Harris, 1.43 warp. These guys, these running backs in the range of 16 to 19, lapping top 12 quarterbacks in the scoring format. So just want to point that out because of the crazy settings, the big points per carry, the whole works. It's like these running backs of Jeff Wilson, Antonio Gibson, Tank Bigsby could really help Mr. Shy Guy win. But this is the whole like balancing act you have to do on how much do I pay for him? Because in any other league, market says these dudes are junk. Like I'm not paying these prices for them.
It convolutes it a ton, and the reason is this, right? Not that many running backs have market, and truthfully, like you don't really want to be paying for that in this league because paying for the market of him alone, what does that really do? It sets you up to pay a steep price and also get hit the worst for an injury or a guy that doesn't actually perform like we expect. Like there's been running backs that we project are going to be great, and they actually aren't. Now, if you think about it, that person, what was Antonio Gibson last year, Mike? Let's pull his up.
Just last year, 2022?
0.99. So
0.99.
Antonio Gibson was a utter failure, let's call it the truth, right? He had a good start with B-Rob not playing, right, with the shooting.
Right.
Then B-Rob came back and kind of really just angered everyone, if you're like us, right? Just made us all angry. He still, Mike, was 0.99, but the thing is, you know what you're getting there. You can get that probably at a different place than paying what you paid for Gibson 2 years ago or last year. So the point I'm making with Gibson is everyone, buying running backs seems like the right play with warp here. But if you do too much of it, like if you buy too many running backs right now, and you basically have a very high risk with your portfolio on your team here. If it all hits, great. I mean, you could end up destroying this league, right? If you end up nailing, let's call it 6 or 8 of the top 20 running backs, good luck taking that team down, right? Good luck. But what do we know? The market is not safe on any one of these assets. And if any one of them underperforms or gets hurt, you are losing a ton of your team's value because you probably paid up for those in this type of an economy. So it's one of those where like the balancing act in a start 16 with this is going to be really fun to see. But I do want to, we talked a little longer on these two trades, but I think it was great topic because this is one of the leagues, Mike, that I created not knowing how much the warp was going to play for us, not knowing this tool was going to become what it was. But this is a league that literally shows you how important the warp tool can be and what it means. Because we could have talked about scoring settings, all this till we're blue in the face, but this warp shows the extreme better than we could ever illustrate.
And just my final point on this trade too, because they're back to back, and some of the psychology that goes into it. I'm drinking when this one went down too, but I still got that in the back of my mind. And we talked about it when we did the QB Horde episode. And this is part of trade strategy. Is I just broke the seal on the league, right? Like first are starting to go, right? I created that rush, right? Offers are now coming in. Mike's liquidating his team. I want to get on this because I want to compete. You create a market. And now you've kind of set the market. So we talked about it on the QB Horde episode that we did on Destination Devi about it, Adam. Like the first trade, which is also kind of why I'm okay with it now in the end. The first trade also, you can take a loss you can take a loss, but just let people know you're open for business. Like, oh, he's being reasonable. Look at him. He just took an L. And then the next guy that comes in, maybe you just make a little bit of that back up. All right. The other thing is also, this goes into QB hoarding, but this also applies here when you're doing a rebuild, Adam, or you're liquidating. You get this rush, and the more people you can convince that they're contenders to push their picks in, to give you their picks, the better some of those picks are going to end up being, right? Because now you have multiple teams fighting at the top. Not everybody, only one person's winning the league. There's only one 112 pick that I could possibly get out of all these landmines. And ideally, I want people to compete. Like we talked about Melo on the League Simulator, like, oh, even after he makes that dynamite deal for Jamar Chase, still comes in at 5th. Like, I want as many of you guys competing I want to be the only one rebuilding. And I want to secure Caleb Williams and all these cool draft picks. And all of a sudden, Melo's the 104. And I'm going, oh, man, getting Marvin Harrison Jr. feels really good too. Or getting Brock Bowers in this format with 2 tight ends feels really good, or whatever the case may be. So you want that kind of psychology when you're doing tradings or rebuilds, whether it's a QB hoard or whether it's just liquidating your entire team. Like I was like, I'm drinking. Let's go. We're liquidating everything. Everything must go.
I love it, man. A lot of same thoughts we have. I don't want to over talk them, considering we've done full-length podcasts on them. We'll save that for another time. All right, 12-team Superflex. It's a half-point tight end premium. It's a lineup start 9 league, Mike. The league name is Real NFL Coach League. Apparently Christian is in a league with actual real NFL head coaches. So Christian is getting Mark Andrews, Michael Gallup, Kendre Miller, and a 24 third. Sending away Cam Akers, a 24 first, and Evan Ingram. Mike, I'll let you start here. I'm going to pull up the warp on this. But just first glance, initial thoughts, what are you thinking on this deal?
Cam Akers in the first are pretty cool. Evan Ingram's pretty cool, and a half-point tight end premium. But this is one of the things like I'm struggling with, Adam, because tight ends in just about any warp format outside of Travis Kelce haven't mattered. But if I go back and look at historically, who is the only guy in the last couple of years that has pushed or exceeded Travis Kelce in warp?
It's only one.
It's Mark Andrews.
And when Lamar's been healthy, if you were to go back and filter out and do warp when Lamar's playing with him and healthy, last year and the other years, it's not far off from Kelce still, right?
No, and 2 years ago, I remember being in like a best ball league and watching like Mark Andrews scored like 50 points or 60 points. Like he just would not stop scoring fantasy points. Like Mark Andrews can be that dude. We've seen it before. A more wide open offense. This is like too much player analysis on Mark Andrews, but it's one of the guys that I've been coming around. Like if you want to make that bet on Mark Andrews, I'm starting to make that bet in underdog drafts and that kind of thing. Is it a good bet? I don't know. But I'm kind of willing to be wrong because there's only one guy outside. If I miss out on Travis Kelce, I'm really looking at going, that's the one. And as much as I love Kyle Pitts because of the youth, and I'm still like, I'm in on Kyle Pitts. I just think he might be a little bit overvalued. The one that makes sense to me the most is Mark Andrews. And if I'm going to like start to push my chips in a little bit on Mark Andrews, buddy, I'll send you all the Evan Ingrams and Cam Akers in the entire world, and you can have the Mark Andrews. And if I got to do a first to a third swap and I still get back like Michael Gallup in a start 9, who cares in the lineup? Like it doesn't matter. Kendre Miller, though, could be a threshold running back pretty easily in this format. So that one I'm good getting back. I wouldn't have the Michael Gallup thing. Like, could you have another running back you can just send me like a body? I'm never going to start Michael Gallup ever. That would be my only critique of it, but I want the Mark Andrews side of this. And I don't know what the warp says on this one, Adam, but I know you love Cam Akers. I think Evan Ingram's fine, and I generally don't want to liquidate, any 24 first. But shout out to Christian on this one. He's not liquidating his. It's somebody else's.
Well, that was going to be one of my points. Mike, if you could, I have the warp pulled up. If you want to pull up the simulator just to give me – let's talk about that team also. But here's what I'm going to say, Mike, and I think this one, what's tough about this one is just knowing, like you said, that there's a chance that Andrews with Lamar for a full season and that there's other weapons. Like, I think sometimes this will be misviewed. The fact that there's other weapons, I think, that can help alleviate the force and the focal point of just Mark Andrews is actually better for him because he's not going to stop demanding targets. He's going to get them, but it almost helps loosen up the defense and make them have to focus on other people so that Mark Andrews has a little more operating space. So I think with Lamar, he has a chance to get to, I personally don't think the Kelce range is something I want to bet on him getting to. Could he get there? Yes, but I think it's likely that he could be better than he's been last year. But I don't want to be betting on the guy that's going to get to the Kelce range where it's like actually just astronomically different than the rest of the tight ends because it's so hard to do. Even for a guy as good as him on a good offense like this. And the reason I say that is when you pull up Warp, Mike, last year, Mark Andrews, as good as he was, TJ Hawkinson, these guys are 0.87 and 0.9. You run 2021, I can run that, but while that's running, Mike, I just want you to understand that the rest of – so, by the way, Mark Andrews, going back 2 years, was ahead of Kelce in Warp at 1.5. So, like, if you think he can get more to that, I can understand it. But here's my problem. You're betting on basically a difference from a full point in Warp to, like, 1.5. That's probably, like, the realistic – you're netting a half extra win. Now, he's a positional advantage, and in a lineup start 9, you want to kind of just make every position better so that your hammers across the board, right? Here's my problem with this, though. That is a pretty tough bet, knowing that if there's a chance Ingram, who's tight end 5, Mike, is 0.44 in Warp. He's still with T-Law. So what you can win on the one end, I think you have a chance to, like, realize nothing meaningful in Warp at just that trade. Now, market's way different, and there's a chance that he's better, but I think what you possibly could win on a high end is not nearly enough, because think about what you lose here. Cam Akers, and if you look at Warp in this league, running backs in the top 12 are ahead of, the top 14 are all ahead of receiver. You lose Cam Akers, and you lose the first. I don't give a fuck about Gallup in this league. Christian, you're a part of the team now. You're going to get the raw. I'm telling you exactly how I feel about it. I don't care. I'm not holding back, damn it. I haven't slept hardly at all. We've been doing mind warp. My mind is warped on Warp. You're getting the full treatment.
Oh, man.
I don't care about Michael Gallup in this league. Get out of here. This is a total not part of the deal roster clogger. I'm going to just cut him, all right? Or maybe not that bad. I'm being a little obnoxious. But he's a roster clogger. Kendre Miller, I think I like him. I definitely want to roster him in these type leagues, but Mike, would you be totally surprised if in a year or two from now Kendre Miller has met really nothing at the running back position?
No.
Nobody would, right?
Nope.
And a third. Like, I see this as a bunch of junk back. Kendrick's not junk, but like it could be a bunch of junk coming back for my 3 pieces. Mike, here's the thing I think about with this. What can I do with that first that I have if you do currently have your own still? I want to get to this red line. I don't want to get to Mark Andrews' line. I want to get somewhere else.
I get you. And two, when I pull up the league simulator, that first is also bottom half of the league. Like, I mean,
Christian. You know what? Blitz did this. Blitz put him up here. He's like, listen, you put him on the team too. We got to expose this man. Christian, I know what you're doing. I have been the person that's paid up for the elite tight end in this league. I actually play in a lineup start 9, half tight end premium, just like this. I've been the one that's chasing the tight ends. It's hard to find them because everyone wants to tier up in this type of a league. But I think what I'm seeing and what I've realized too late for myself, if you actually net it for what it's going to cost you, it has to hit. It literally has to hit the high end for you to have a chance to win.
All right, man. I tried, Christian. I'm sorry. You got the wrath of
Christian.
Adam.
Get this fucking shit out of here. We're done with this trade. Get this shit out of my face.
Xbox. He's
Love
making
you,
an appearance. Love Xbox.
Xbox. Oh, we're gonna see Xbox pretty soon. When this airs, we're just days away from seeing Xbox. Xbox last Expo came up, said what's up to us. We started kicking it right away. Good friends since. Mike, he sent me this trade after he made it, kind of like, gloating, let's call it, like a McNutted deal. Like he just leaves something in my DMs. Like it doesn't need a comment, it doesn't need anything, just it's letting you know. And man, this is crazy, Mike. Justin Jefferson being acquired for and a 24 second are being acquired for Judy, Hodgins, Cook, Bijan Robinson. It's 12-team Superflex PPR. It's a half tight end premium. Lineup start 10. New league, who dis? Mike, this is the thing. When I initially look at this, I say to myself, if this is best ball, I struggle, but I think I could understand taking those 4 pieces. Like, I could understand it. I'm not saying I'm even going to do it, but I could understand saying I get the best running back in football. I get a tier down at receiver, still stay in the top 25 range of Judy. I get Cook, and I get just a dart throw in Hodgins, right? I could see it. Lineup start 10, Mike, there is no way. No way I'm doing this. No chance, man. No chance. What do you think?
So he asked me about it too, and I kind of said, like, there's a scenario ADP-wise, market value with some people. Like, Bijan is close-ish to Justin Jefferson.
For sure.
Close-ish. You look at the warp on it. If Bijan's like RB1, RB2, yes, that statement's factual. As far as warp goes, he would be close to what Justin Jefferson did last year.
Correct.
Understandable. If that was the case, though, like if they were true equals, right? Like take away the fact that Bijan's a running back and how finicky we are. Like Jonathan Taylor's one of the greatest running back prospects that's ever come out and has produced very good seasons and was the RB1 for a very long time. And look how fast he's getting traded for, Alexander Madison in a random first. Like how fast we have shifted in from like now we all hate JT, even though he hasn't even gotten through his first contract yet. So just think about that. Bijan's dope as shit, man. I'm not taking anything away from him, but his time is very limited as far as like people going to be in on him. Like maybe the next 2 years, we start to get to year 3 and 4, people are going to go, that's a running back.
Yeah.
He's still a running back.
I think that's the problem, right?
And so that being said, man, I'm taking Justin Jefferson before I'll ever take Bijan Robinson. No question about it. Like I'll take J-Jets all the time. And if it costs me Jerry Jeudy in a start 10, like I like Jeudy, I like James Cook. I really don't give a fuck about Isaiah Hodgins in a lineup league. Like
that league we were talking about with you and I care about Hodgins in that league maybe, but outside of something like that, you can take him, please.
Lineup league.
He doesn't have enough stuff at my house, but I'll still help him pack his bags. It's gonna be a light suitcase,
And I got a second back. Like,
that's the thing that I think that's the wildest part to me, Mike, is getting the draft pick back here is insane to me.
Yeah.
It probably feels nominal to everyone viewing this, but the fact that you're getting liquid draft capital in meaningful round is hilarious.
Yeah. The only other thing I had, because like I plug it in the league simulator and I understand, like especially if I'm Xboxing the situation, he's a bottom 3 team in the league simulator. Like I want to get off James Cook and Bijan Robinson, why they have the value that they have. Like I'm good with it. Give me the wide receiver. I feel much more comfortable long term. Jerry Jeudy also too, if we're being completely honest. I like Jeudy. I know like Nate Lish just came out with something really cool on Jerry Jeudy that I really like. I'm like, I like it. I like Jerry Jeudy, but let's be honest too. Jerry Jeudy is one like mediocre season away from people not giving a fuck about him at all either, right? Like he just becomes that Juju Smith-Schuster where it was like, it was fun at a time, but piss off now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
You get off a lot of risky assets when you're already a bottom team. Pick up an elite asset in Justin Jefferson, which I don't think anybody would say is going anywhere anytime soon, and you get some draft capital on top of it. The one I don't understand is the guy who acquired it on the other side is on the league simulator, the worst team in the league. Like, that's the kind of risk I don't want to take on, right? I'm not sending away any draft capital, albeit it wasn't his own, but I'm not sending away any draft capital, and I don't want to take on the running backs. I don't want to take on the Jerry Judys of the world and send away my Justin Jefferson for that. Like,
no, I'm with you.
If I'm sending away J-Jets, man, it's like, give me 3 first. Like, I'm doing the process play where hopefully one of these 3 at some point is worth close to Justin Jefferson, and I netted a couple extra first-round picks, which is going to be hard to do. I'm
going to just say this type of a deal for me is going to have to be very specific with league settings. And the reason I say that is I'm going to talk about Warp here again. Shout out to Dynasty Mind Warp. If you want to really get into the weeds with it, man, that's where you do it. We talk about this at length. But I'm going to give you some stuff that is actionable for every one of these trades here. Mike, look at this receiver line. These are the things that when you really get mind warped, you are going to see these right away, and it's going to change the way you view things. So, Mike, Justin Jefferson's 2.62. I don't care what league it is, what position it is, 2.62 is very valuable. Then when you think about a lineup start 10, guys that have that type of a hammer and that big of a market like he does, everything in this league. Like it's you could make the case in market. It's right after the elite 6 quarterbacks, truthfully.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And now here's the crazy part. Look at how this receiver line goes. So you get from 2.6 with Jefferson. Last year, Cooper Kupp at 8's at 1.29. When you get to 12, Mike, you're at 1 with Cooper. Look at from 1 to basically 30. I'm sorry, 12 to 30. Nothing different. That is a flat-ass line. That's a chick you want nothing to do with, a flat ass, man. I'm good. It's just, no. Bro, no.
Come on, man. Don't discriminate.
I know. I'm just playing. I'm good with the flat asses. But
I'm fat.
I'm good with the flat asses. I'm not good with the flat lines. All right. I'm not good with these flat lines. This when you get to a flat tier like this in a lineup start 10, I think especially the point I'm really trying to make though, like when you pay or you're getting off of an asset as elite as Jefferson is, and one of the pieces you're taking back, the second highest piece, Mike, is what? Jerry Jeudy in a flat tier.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
And then guess what the rest is going to be? I don't even have to tell you. If you thought that was flat, this is pancake style, man. This
is a soda that you opened 3 weeks ago.
Oh, there is not a single ounce of fizz. It's just like drinking syrup. You know, there's no fizz at all.
It almost tastes bitter, right? You can taste the flat CO2. Ugh.
That's how I feel about that. That's how I feel about that trade too, by the way. Just for the other side. All right. Dan, Blitz, you know what, Mike? This is something to monitor. If he makes the show every week, this is something to monitor as well, you know. What do you got? What are you going to say?
Fizzle says we start off the show with our own trades. He didn't mean you.
Yeah, he doesn't mean that you have to make every show. That's I guess it's your prerogative if you're pulling the trades, but damn it, we're going to have to monitor this, all right? Christian Kirk and Gerald Everett, pretty clean deal here. Christian Kirk and Gerald Everett for Will Dissly and Desmond Ridder. 12-team, 2 quarterback is a big thing here. PPR, 0.75 tight end premium, 0.25 points per carry. Best ball start 13 with 2 tight ends, shit 4. As I'm reading through that, Mike, you get to the second line. Whenever these trades have to get to a second line in like the setting types, and we're reading it like that, I'm like, yeah, that's one of our leagues. It's got to be. And sure enough, it is. So what's your thoughts on this deal as a whole? 2 for 2, but Christian Kirk versus Desmond Ridder is going to be the bulk of the deal. Obviously, Everett versus Dissly is a win for Everett, but Dissly is kind of a gross tight end that you could roster in 2 tight ends.
Right. Like he's a guy who will be on a roster because he might do something. Right.
Yeah, they deploy 3 tight ends, and one of them could score any week.
Let me just ask you this, man. Like I generally, how big of a QB guy I am, and in best ball, I'm really comfortable with some gross ass quarterbacks. But Adam, man, as much as I want to like QB hoard, if I'm faced with the choice of any kind of startup or auction, am I spending more money on Christian Kirk or Desmond Ridder, or am I spending more draft capital? Right? Like, would I take Christian Kirk in the 7th? I will never fucking take a Desmond Ridder in the 7th, no matter how much like QB hoarding I want to do. Pass. No. And not that like training camp footage is everything, Adam. I'm honestly asking. Because we've seen, week now of just training camp highlights and, dudes beating other dudes in one-on-ones and jump balls in the back of the end zones. Have you seen one of these throws to like Kyle Pitts or Drake London be good yet? We're like hyping these
what's
guys
the theme
up
of the Twitter sphere X? I'm not calling it X. Forget that. The Twitter sphere, whatever you want to call it, the Bird app. It's someone explaining to you how, okay, Kyle Pitts doesn't look that bad. He's right. Looking like he's moving fluid. Drake London absolutely got off the line, and then what? It's a bad throw, but this is showing their routes really good. Who cares? Who cares if they can't execute because they can't throw?
It's not just me. I thought I was tripping because like every throw to Drake London or Kyle Pitts is a horrible underthrow or behind them or in the dirt. Like
it's the amendum at the end of every single one of them is throw was off, but this is a hell of a route, or this is getting you back to the point because it finishes with just a miss.
So I add that into like what I've seen and like perceived. And as crazy as this sounds for me with like quarterbacks, man, like fucking give me Christian Kirk over.
But this
Desmond
is also
Ridder.
your love for Christian Kirk too, right? Because you're ahead of market with Christian Kirk too.
Even if I wasn't, even if I think Christian Kirk's wide receiver 36,
I know, but you can't
Kirk.
take bias out of it when we have love for Kirk like we do, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
But you can't do it.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm with you.
I agree with you in principle, though. I agree with you in principle. I'll say this: the one thing when you look at this warp chart here, interesting about this is where warp and like understanding the league still need to go hand in hand. So when you look at warp in this, right, everything's at 2 at the high end, really. You know, nothing's getting crazy individually in that because we have so many starters. But if you look at the quarterback line, you know, it kind of gets dropped off in that middle part, which we've talked about from like quarterback 6. That's last year. I don't know if that's going to be the thing that happens every single year. Last year's a bad year for quarterback. But just if you think about it, once you get to quarterback 8, it's 1.04. Once you get to quarterback 20, it's 0.5. Here's the one difference though about Ridder, and this is where the market and what it costs, and then also warp, even though it's not the greatest. Just know what happens in a league like this is the quarterback scarcity, because you have to play 2, is a totally different thing. Because every single week in a league like this where the warp is so much higher at wide receiver and RB all the way across, you know what can happen for poorly constructed teams? They get away with that shit in Superflex.
Right.
This league, you can't get away with that. If you have 2 quarterbacks in this league as roster construction poorly, you have 2 players, points, period. There is no best ball. You're playing lineup at that position. That's crazy. Just think of, so as bad as Ridder probably will be in warp, he's part of that market. If you can get to 5 in this league, think about it this way: 12 teams times 5. How many are we at? A lot. You don't have to even math for me. But the point is, if you can get a bunch of the quarterbacks, it's not a horrible cost. I do think it's an overpay. I want the Kirk side, but I just want to talk about the market. How doesn't necessarily matter if you're controlling enough of those assets. But I will say on the other side for the flip side for Blitz, I know this is a league that he had gotten enough quarterbacks because, you know, he listens to us. He's in a league with us, and he had an extra one to play with. And I think if you have enough depth at quarterback, I'll take the Kirk side all day, like we talked about at the beginning.
So, like, all right, man. Let's say in the rosiest of rosy, right? And I just project Desmond Ridder to be
QB 20. There you go. Boom. That's scary. Let's say QB 20. We said 20 at the same time. We're going 20, damn it.
We're going 20. Russell Wilson last year.
That's Aaron Rodgers I'm looking at.
Oh, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at then.
Shit 4.
Yeah.
Different league? Well, it's all right. It's okay. Shit 4. 0.51 Aaron Rodgers. We'll wait for yours to load so you can catch up with it. It's all good.
0.51. Okay.
But here,
what's the equivalent wide receiver? What's the equivalent wide receiver? How
20,
far down is that?
20 is 0.79 Zay Jones.
No. You got the 0.51 warp. Go down to the receiver who's right around 0.51.
Oh, you mean you actually can't. Yeah, you can. Hold on. I see what you're saying. No. I see what you're saying. DPJ. Not quite. It's actually, no, it's Deontay or Jacoby Myers.
And how bad was Deontay last year?
Horrible.
Jacoby Myers. Right, and
they both disappointed. Let's call it what it is.
This is all Christian Kirk needs to be if Desmond Ridder's right around QB 20. All right, let's just keep that in mind.
There's two ways to look at that, though. I am genuinely going to be with you in this side, because typically, now when I'm in an auction with Mike, like in this league, there's a chance I don't come away with my roster construction because he just goes to Hammertown and just goes bananas, and you have a hard time roster constructing because he's going to end up with 7, and he's going to just say, I don't care if I suck. You're going to feel these prices at one point, even if it's a year or 2 from now. Outside of that, though, I typically have my quarterback rooms pretty close to roster construction or over, because I like to do the same thing as you do, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, generally, I'm going to agree with you. I'd rather have the Kirk side, because what I like to do is get the Ridders later if I can at enough of a discount and flip into that higher end receiver. But just think about it this way. If you were to get, let's say Ridder becomes your 3 or 4, and this even feels a little steep, what does this list tell you, though? This list tells you if there's a position, given the scarcity, that you're going to backfill like not that I want to lose Christian Kirk. I got love for Christian Kirk. I want everyone to understand that. I am ahead of consensus. I'm going to be way more. Yes. Mike and I's ownership combined of Kirk is going to be bad. All right, it's going to be very high.
Yes.
But if I had to try to replace something in a league that's 2 quarterback, I mean, you want to talk about warp that's not that different from maybe not Christian Kirk last year because he had a great year, but even still, let's go extremes. 0.83 Christian Kirk. Guess what Paris Campbell was? 0.4.
Really? Paris fucking Campbell. 0.4.
Why? But why? We're starting 13. So literally you're going to have, you just continue to throw shit at that receiver position. Go to the roster construction tab. You pull that up, 13 receivers. That's how you end up beating that, is you fill all those receivers and just guys that are getting snaps and you don't care. So I want the Kirk side in this, but I think it's a lot closer than people are going to give it credit for. I know it feels gross with Ritter. He's someone, too, I think that people have to realize is not a safe and secure asset. Like, this guy could be so bad that we're talking about him as a 0 soon. Like, that's what I would be terrified of with Ritter. Doesn't have a lot of draft capital. They're not that good of a team last year. If he is terrible, by the end of this year, he could be getting replaced. And that's what's scary. This was very scary. But just understand that quarterbacks are going to be very hard to come by, ones that have a job. I just don't know how long he's going to have this job. So I wouldn't want to make the bet on Ritter, but in process, I understand what's happening.
I get you. You really defended that well for Pasta. It was horrible. Ritter's got off.
Pasta's a patron of ours. I had to at least try for him, but Pasta, I personally don't want to send my Kirk for Ritter, even though I just told you the reasons you could. I'm just not doing it. Blitz, you are fired. Whatever this is, I'm glad it just kept running. Blitz, you're not actually fired, but this is the worst. Now, I know this isn't his fault. This is not his fault. But what is his fault is you picked this trade, all right? This isn't supposed to be on the show. This is – I'm just playing. Lawrence Stroud and 1 pick for Allen Miller and 1 pick. I love that it tells you that ahead when you have the whole context below it. Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, a 25, the 209, 25. So that's not actually the 209, but what was probably 209 this year. Josh Allen, Kendre Miller, a 26 first.
Jesus. I don't need warp for this shit.
I mean, dude, here's the thing, right? I'm going to let you talk. This is kind of everything about this. Having to read it, the colors, the way what I'm looking at, and then I get through finally figuring out what it is, and I'm even a little more disappointed in this trade. So I'll let you go with it first.
Like Josh Allen to start 9 is really cool, right?
It's really cool. It's great.
I got a 26 first too, and Kendre's whatever. Bro, I'm not giving up 2.
Can we go to our roots on this? This is a perfect time to go to our roots.
I ain't giving up 2 top 12 quarterbacks, especially a guy who goes at the 107 and the other guy goes at the 204.
Let's just, Mike, you're going from someone has the 102, and you're inquiring about getting the 102. Like, I'm already not sending my 107. Like, that's not that's not the way I want to get to Josh Allen, right?
No.
First and foremost, that's not the way I want to get there. But if someone's like, yeah, like really wanting to move off the pick, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get up from T-Law to Allen, I'll do it, but it's gonna cost pretty cheap. What it's not gonna be is here's my 2nd or 3rd or 4th round startup pick to do this, and you send me back, I mean, a 26 first. I get it, it's a first versus a second. That can be potentially, that pick could end up being legit and all that. I understand all that, but nah, man, nah. This is too light on the Josh Allen side because Kendre is not secured. We already touched on that. No way. CJ Stroud to me is at a discount in the lineups. And this is the other thing, Mike. Think about this. Lineup start 9. What do we know? Quarterbacks are impossible to come by in these leagues. Like it is one of the hardest things to buy outright. I'm not giving up 2 for 1, whereas my second, the other quarterback I'm going down to is T-Law.
Let's just say, though, Josh Allen's worth 5 firsts, okay?
In this league, he probably is.
5 firsts, which is a fuck ton, Adam. 5 firsts.
You have to buy some from other teams to even have it.
You got 26 firsts on the other side, okay?
Yep.
You got 26 firsts. Now we're at 6 firsts.
6 firsts. Kendrick's what, a second?
Yeah, maybe. Like Trevor Lawrence is worth every bit of 3 for a lot of people. CJ Stroud's worth what, 2? Like, so maybe if you did it that way, you go, well, okay, I can see it. But that is like absolute peak of Josh Allen, and I'm here to tell you that if Trevor Lawrence comes out with Calvin Ridley and that offense is cooking, Like it takes another little step forward from what it did last year. Like the amount of craze that's going to be around Trevor Lawrence is ridiculous. He's already pushing Justin Herbert, who had the greatest rookie season we've ever seen, right, from a quarterback. That's wild, man. That's wild to be okay giving up Trevor Lawrence and CJ Stroud, who everyone's like really in love with, already ranked really high. If you look at like Keep Trade Cutter, a lot of people's dynasty rankings as far as quarterbacks. I can't do it, man. I can't do the two really, 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 really good quarterbacks for the one who's like, man, if this was Patrick Mahomes, I think I could make a better case. You know what I mean? Because Patrick Mahomes is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Let me just give you a little context into what I've been doing while Mike's been talking, other than listening to him. I multitask. I do that, right? I'm over here. I'm mind warped. Okay, I was up till almost the sun came up last night, making sure the series was ready for the drop and everything. Mike, I'm over here trying my damnedest to pull up warp, and you can't do it with this. And this is the final reason why I don't have anything to add to this. I was trying to get warp to like just make sure the quarterback lines looked a certain way, and I'm just like, wow, I'm really trying to find warp on a Flea Flicker league. But I will say, because that was such an error on my part, you should all be laughing at me, clowning me right now. What are you doing? What you can do, and what you should be doing, because everyone in the Shithead Trades channel needs to put the name of the league, but if it's in Flea Flicker, it doesn't help us. What you do is you go download Sleeper, you make an app, you make a team in the league with the same exact settings, and you put it in there. So then I can type in Dog Pound on Sleeper and get this exact same league. So that's the fix, but still egg on my face. I'm out here trying to type in a Flea Flicker league to our warp tool, and that will not work. So RIP. All right, Mike. 12-team Superflex, PPR, lineup start 11, build your dynasty, Cristiano P7, Kyle Pitts in a 25-second. Our boy Go H Devil is getting Elijah Moore, Keenan Allen in a 25 first. I'll pull up warp, Mike. This is going to be one of those where we got to have a serious conversation about one Kyle Pitts, man, and where we are now versus where we've been, and what do we think about this trade?
Fuck them tight ends, man. Give me Keenan Allen and Elijah Moore in the first. Like, I'm good. Good.
That simple, huh?
Yeah, that's simple.
Wow. That's interesting.
I'm done. I'm done with them.
I'm not saying you can't feel the way you feel. I'm just looking for a little more than that. Just even if it's the same, give me something. I'm trying to pull up warp here. Can you give me some filler?
Yo, you need some fill time?
I'm just everyone watching. This is how you know I'm in a bad headspace, because I'm telling Mike to talk more. I'm trying to pull up warp from Sleeper, and not Sleeper, it's Flea Flicker. Go ahead.
I like Kyle Pitts, man. I do, but anymore, man, it just seems like the right process play is to go, I'll let everybody else love Kyle Pitts more than I love Kyle Pitts. You know what I mean? Give me some draft picks if it involves first and some usable players. See you, Kyle Pitts. You guys enjoy them. I'm more than comfortable just going, it's been real. It's been fun. Hasn't been real fun. But see ya, Mr. Pitts. I'll let everybody else run the hype machine. I tried it for a year. It didn't work out so well. And if you guys don't know, Adam and I were the biggest proponents of don't draft Kyle Pitts in your rookie drafts in the first round. Take Pat Freiermuth in the second round, right? One of the few things that we got right. And then we got through his amazing rookie year, and we saw his value explode. And Adam gets a sticker of him put on the wall and makes awesome thumbnails. And we talk about him as the most unattainable player probably in Dynasty. Right?
Unicorn. You can't buy him. If you have him, you have the best, most elite asset at a scarce position. What happened?
We think, yeah, man, it doesn't matter. It's Marcus Mariota as quarterback last year, right? You know, I don't care that they took Drake London. Drake London's awesome too, but it's going to be Kyle Pitts and Drake London. That's all that's going to matter. And then Arthur Smith just stopped using him and wouldn't throw to him in the red zone. I don't know why. He's only 6'6" and 250 and, elite athlete. Don't worry about it. It just didn't happen. And, then he gets hurt. And they don't really ever do anything at quarterback. It's Desmond Ridder. And we can talk ourselves into the story. Wow, Desmond Ridder's last part of the year kind of reminded us a little bit of Jalen Hurts' last part of his rookie year. Shut the fuck up. It wasn't even close. Mike,
okay? I don't want to. I'm not ready to have this type of conversation.
I'm going down the Kyle Pitts road, okay? This is what happened. We talked ourselves into Desmond Ridder. Then Kyle Pitts, what happens? He comes out and he's running in a knee brace. Okay. And it doesn't look great. And albeit, full discretion, looks better now, like moving fluidly. But what's happening now? He's out there running great routes, and the throw is like 15 yards behind him. We just talked about Desmond Ridder. So his quarterback situation still sucks.
Yep.
He still has Drake London. The coaching staff didn't change. It's still Arthur Smith. Do you trust him at all? I don't know.
I trust him to run the football, yes, a lot.
You add into the fact that if Kyle Pitts is tight end 4 this year, right? Had a great year, tight end 4.
Okay.
Does he matter in warp? No, he doesn't.
That's true.
So let everybody else pay for him.
Well, but I guess, all right, I'm going to run the simulator on this too. I need to know about this pick. But I don't know. I'm glad you gave me more, you leaned into it more. I'm fine with your answer. I wanted the McNutted. I wanted to come from the heart, man. You know, give it to me.
That's the heart. And I'm heartbroken.
But here, can I say though, the thing we have to discuss though is I'm with you about getting off of Pitts. But is this really enough value? Like, that's the part where we have to talk the trade.
You're running the simulator, and I'm sitting here scratching my head, going, "Why?"
Mm-hmm.
Not the simulator part that you're running it. This is also why I like having these tools. And listen, before people jump down my throat, I'm not saying this is the Bible, right? But it gives you a range. Okay, if I pull up the league simulator and you only got 3 fucking wins, okay, you're probably not a good team.
After you acquired Keenan Allen.
This is go H Devil, man. I like you, man. You're a patron,
but maybe, I'm going to guess for him
on Kyle Pitts, and I'm going. You got 3 wins on the league simulator, and you're acquiring Keenan Allen, which is a tougher asset to move, and your market's very limited, and probably not in the 2025 run that you're going to be making with this draft pick.
There's 2 things for him, I would imagine. One is it's going to be very tough. This is a very you shallow your buyer pool drastically with an Allen type asset, right? A Keenan Allen asset can go to a handful of people willing to pay for him. That's it.
4 or 5 team tops.
But that's the play I think you have to make is now flipping him. But I think the fact that you're getting a 25 first that's from a team, one like this Cristiano P7 is in the bottom 5, right? It's the non-playoff team. And I think one thing you need to look at is the team name, which is a bet you really want to take against him. Purdy good. This is a Brock Purdy team. I want that pick. You like that pick, no?
I want to bet against anybody who likes Brock Purdy.
But no, real talk though. Like this is where I think when talking about this trade, Mike, I think you got to ask yourself in range of outcomes about not just this year with Kyle Pitts, when this is all you're getting back. I'm not going to say it's nothing because like you look at WARP in this blue line. Hell, you could get a year of production out of Keenan Allen and be very high in WARP 1.3 range as Mike Evans last year. You could be that or higher. So like, yeah, Keenan Allen, nice. Elijah Moore in lineup start 11, Mike. I'm excited about him going to Cleveland. I'm looking for him to blow up, but at the same time in a lineup start 11 league, I'm not going to call him a true roster clogger, but he's kind of, for a lot of people, probably getting close to that, and he's going to be an asset that trends really negatively to damn near 0 if he has a bad year this year. So like, I don't care about him. And then a single 25 first. The only thing that's kind of saving it for me is the fact that this is a team worth betting against. Outside of that, like I struggle just because if I'm going to trade Pitts away in the opportunity for, if it's not for 2 or 3 years to realize absolute elite ceiling, which could matter in this league, like I want to get something back though. You know what I mean? I agree with every principle that you made about trading away Kyle Pitts, but like at a certain point, I'm like, is this actually the return I'm getting? Like, is this worth it? So that's where I think it's hard for me with Pitts. When I can actually sell him for half of the old Pitts prices, 3/4, I am selling him. But when it's just like a pick that's 2 years down the road and an aging wide receiver on a team that I'm rebuilding on, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm almost just as confident taking the other side here.
I'm with you. I just I don't like the process. You know what I mean?
I'm with you. But there is also the problem for me is I have too many shares that I'm having a harder time selling. I'm looking to sell for that big price, and I'm having a hard time doing it. If I didn't have as many shares, like these are probably the type of bets I'd be willing to take some shots on Kyle Pitts' resurgence down the road because it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg here in a trade like this.
No,
you know what I mean?
If you combine Keenan Allen and Elijah Moore, you probably wouldn't get a first out of anybody. You know what I mean?
Here's the other part, too, about this, right? Quentin Johnson lightening up in camp. Who knows? He could end up doing nothing all year. But Keenan Allen has been banged up his whole career and is getting old. At the end of this year, Mike, what would it shock you if Keenan Allen has a very different market all offseason, never recovers, and also Elijah Moore off a bad year? Like, those guys both could mean nothing. Not nothing, but they could get tons of value loss, right?
In a lineup start 11, they'd be zeros. Scott would be talking about them as roster cloggers.
Yes. I mean, there's a name and all that. You'd have to find the right person. But, yeah, they're going to trend to value-wise of fucking gross from where they are right now. And they're already not very rosy right now, right?
You got off a guy that people are going to put hate in the comments because I shit on him in Kyle Pitts, right? Like, they'll be fighting me for the next 2 years about Kyle Pitts. Guaranteed. Locked. You send him away. So
I love that, Mike. We have now you're stronger against Pitts than me, but I get it from the WARP perspective, and I do, and I think it's all about costing me. But we're gonna go from against Pitts, strong, best rookie season we've ever seen from a tight end in the modern era. We buy in. He has a terrible season, and now if we staunchly defend against get rid of him, I don't want him, and he gets to 85% of the rookie season, and we'll be just what. We don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what to do with Kyle Pitts. Here, you take him. I don't want him anymore.
Lover scored.
We've it's been a bit of a bumpy road with our Kyle Pitts love and hate. All right,
shit.
Masturbator, Mike. Yeah, 12-team Superflex PPR. It's a full point tight end premium. Best ball start 12, 2 tight end league, Premier League, Mike. T. Higgins versus Jaden Reed in a 24 first. We talk tear downs. In best ball, we talk assets mattering. But boy, oh boy, there's a give and take to everything, no?
Premier Gape League.
I mean, I'm at a loss for words. Like, I'm trying to think of how I would try to start defending my tear down receiver that I'm getting back being Jaden Reed from T. Higgins. Before I even talk about the first, I'm at a loss for words there because that is a guy that I feel like is criminally undervalued. And in best ball especially, I like it a lot because I think the depressed market is almost even more appealing to me with a guy like T. Higgins who has spike week potential as much as almost anybody. Not everyone, but damn near. So in best ball, I love me some T. Higgins. Now I'm going from that to Jaden Reed, Mike. Jaden Reed, the quarterback we don't know shit about. The other weapons on the team we don't really have enough sample size to know shit about. They just drafted 2 other tight ends. I mean, this is a complete abyss of who the hell knows.
Yeah, there's a reason.
And a 24 first for just T. Higgins. I mean, I know it's best ball and 2 for 1, but come on, man, this feels. I don't know. I don't like it.
There's a reason that when I run the league simulator, Masturbator's towards the top, and Matt Gomes 40 is towards the bottom. This is why. I don't gotta
be careful. They're both patrons.
I love them, but what are we doing?
I'm just playing. I like to mess with people on here.
Nobody listened to the last 7 T. Higgins episodes because I feel like I do.
No, Mike. As soon as you and I start talking T. Higgins, they turn it off. They don't want to hear that shit. Haven't you seen his Madden score? He's terrible.
Constantly out here arguing for T. Higgins. There's no fucking way I take this. Jaden Reed is not the tier of wide receiver. I'm with you, Adam. If you don't like T. Higgins, tear down. Just not to wide receiver 60 or
no, dude, it's Mike, it is several tiers from me beyond where I would stop.
Yeah,
I'm being nice there. Legitimately, because here's the other problem too in a best ball league like this, Mike. I don't know how many roster spots it is. I don't know if you could pull it up maybe on Sleepy or something. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but just to me, think about it this way. I'm not going to say Jaden Reed's a 0, but I'm not going to say that he's solidified weekly in and out of my lineup. There's a chance he might not even be at all. Imagine if you take this on and Jaden Reed's one of these dynasty values that haven't given you any chance of scoring week in and week out by and large. Right. That's completely suboptimal in best ball league.
Rough.
How many starters? Do we know it? Or roster spots, I mean? Does Sleeper even tell us that?
I don't want to spend more time on this dog shit.
It's the last trade. I feel like I want to lean into it. Just one. I want to really rip the heart out here.
Man, I got to look it up for you.
You don't have to. I'll talk warp for a second while you do that, okay?
You talk warp on this one. I'll look up how many roster spots are in this.
Because there's a scenario, right? I think this is
T. Higgins trade.
This is. I'm just going to talk from a war perspective of how I think a guy like Matt Gomes might make a trade like this. This is going to be very hard for me to do because I'm going to give you the opposite side a lot stronger. T. Higgins is 0.91 in warp. He's wide receiver 13. Now, when we had Shane on, surprisingly to me, Shane was very knowledgeable and knew that T. Higgins had those multiple games, which kind of messed with his warp and points per game and all that. That aside, still though, he's wide receiver 12, 13 in this. I think there's a scenario he's well above 1 in warp. But if you're going to do this in a league with best ball like this, it's a heavy bet on Jaden Reed's my problem. Like, cause if you were getting a receiver, like honestly in the top 30 in a first, I'm in. I'm in because look at in warp, I'm going from, let's even say T. Higgins can get close to 1. He's at 0.9. But I get to 30, Mike. Mike Williams is 0.62. You net a first on top of that all day. Give me that. Now, like Mike Williams would be a tougher one for me, but it's that idea, even if it doesn't feel great, is the right process in best ball in a league like this with warp, right? It's the right process. The problem is when it's Jaden Reed, I don't even know that he's on this graph. He could be outside the top 50, and it's not helping you really. You know what I mean? Like that's
yeah.
It's just the tier down is way too far. I think that's the best way and nicest way I could put it.
30 roster spots.
Dude, I'm telling you, the 30 is close to me too, where in that league, you can tell yourself a story about 5 to 8 of these guys, like Jaden Reed types, that just burn holes in your pockets. They are ruining your roster construction and chance to get in. You're going from 30 roster spots, and now you're really down to 20 or 22 because of the guys like that.
Man, every week. I think Blitz knows it too. I think he does. I think he's sneaky.
Does he like to end us, like just to mess with us? Like almost, you know what Blitz is doing? Is he trying to ruin our energy at the end of the Dynasty Trade Show?
I think so. But you can't do it.
Holy shit, man.
I'm
out here messing my camera up because I was putting the Kyle Pitts on.
That's all right. I completely tore down an entire league this week. You can't deter me. I've gone full nuclear Adam rebuild, and I have 0.28 wins on the league simulator. Great success. I've set a new high score.
I was going to say that's tearing it to the studs, buddy. Congrats to you on that. That is. I love seeing it. I love seeing it.
The league simulator, right? It runs 100 simulations. Just if that's what the default setting is, 100 simulations. Yeah. 93 of them had me dead last. Pretty good. I did a good job.
Holy crap! Really?
Yeah. The next closest one, the guy had 1. Right. So that's how much.
So basically, like you netting the 101 is not. It's a lock. Let's call it that. It's a lock. Like that person's gonna have to actively try his damnedest just to compete with you. And it's not going to happen even then, right?
Oh,
I actually like that in best ball. I think it's an underrated point, Mike, is like it's so hard to put words around, but most people, because it's best ball, they are so uncomfortable like tearing it down to the complete nothing. Because in their head, they're all like, how do I get back? How do I get back? Because I have so much you have to rebuild.
Yes.
And that's where I think you can actually – one of the things you also do there is you guarantee the 101, right? But then you have – your depressed value in picks that are guaranteed to rise in value, and you're betting against if you do it enough times. This is one of the points I wanted to make. We didn't. You do that twice, so now you have 3. But I think where some people also miss out here is, Mike, if you let's say you were talking about they can't all both be every pick can't be the 112, right? Mm-hmm. But if you just did those 2, you know what they could be? The 111 and the 112.
Yeah.
If you get to 6, you are not like just. Someone might, and they'd be a dick and tell me that they did, but typically you're not going to get the 107 and through the 112 in order. Someone is going to mess it up way worse, and you're rewarded almost by just getting more of those. And then when teams, like the beauty about what you did though, this is one of the things I like about that, and where I did this a lot too, because you take it all the way to 26, you are like, you literally have them, you know exactly how you have them in your hand. Because if this doesn't go right for you, there's literally your whole it's like prison time. Like there's no way you get out of this without some really uncomfortable things happening to you.
We gotta get out of here. This isn't going well. I appreciate everybody tapping in. Holy hell. Love y'all. Be back here same time, same place next week. Make sure you go.
We got a plug, man. If you want your deals featured on the show, if you want to, go to the uncomfortable place McNutt took you to.
At the start, because I'm nice.
I know, but we got to get it on the way out. Some people,
sorry.
They scroll past Fizzle's intro. I don't know if you've noticed. They don't like to hear it. It's blasphemous to me, but they don't like to hear it. Patreon.com/South Harmon. $1 a month gets you in the door. If you like this, if you're actually to this point listening to Mike and I ramble, just hit the like and subscribe. I mean, it's the least you could do. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. We will see you back here, same time, same place, Saturday morning for the Dynasty Trade Show. We love you guys. We're out here. Peace.
Peace.